Like, Paul, dude, I mean, do you know what the percentage of people that served in special operations?
One of
1%,
Yeah.
right? It took me 4 to 5 years to bring any of that experience to business. On that Tuesday, I got that call. And he's like, dude, they just rolled out our program to the entire company worldwide. It hit me. If I can do this for a company that's valued in the billions, then I should be able to do it for myself. And I started my first business. Something that's going to take them maybe 3-4 years on their own. Dude, how can we do that in 12 months? Let me take all the failures and my network and my lessons that I have and then impart that on you. So we just skip all the BS.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Level Up Podcast. I'm going to be your host, Paul Alex, and today we have a truly special guest joining us. He's a man who has overcome adversity, pushed through incredible challenges, and now helps thousands of people worldwide do the exact same thing. From serving in the Marine Corps Special Operations to becoming a successful entrepreneur, coach, and best-selling author, Nick's dedication to building both mental and physical resilience while empowering others to reach their full potential is truly inspiring. We're gonna take a deep dive into his journey from military service to creating a lifestyle of freedom and purpose. Get ready to level up your mindset and take action towards your goals. Let's welcome Nick Koumalatsos to the show. Nick, how you doing, brother?
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. That was great.
No, absolutely, dude. I gotta give you props, dude. Like, I did a little bit of research before you came. You know me, former law enforcement. So I have to do my due diligence before guests come on the show. And from Johnny Slicks to being in the restaurant business to being now a best-selling author, dude. Let's dive into your background, brother. So,
I high school dropout.
Yeah.
2 felonies by the time I was 13 years old. And that's how the story starts. Grew up from a very poor family, single mom. And obviously I talk about this, not to fast forward, but I talk a lot about this in the one of the programs we run, the Squire program, the father and son event, the rite of passage for young men that they do with their fathers. But I talk about when a young man does not have that strong father figure or mentor in their life, there is a evil enemy out there just with their arms open, waiting for that young man. Like, come on over. We got you. We'll join our crew. We'll take care of you. And the reality is young men are seeking that. We're a tribal people. We require it. We require a tribe. We require that kind of community. And when a positive one is not available, there's going to be a negative one that scoops him up. And that was me. I got scooped up in that negative one. So yeah, by the time I was 13, 2 felonies, locked up. You'll get a kick out of that. Both times I was arrested and locked up. No lawyer, no parent.
That's brutal, bro.
And I don't know how they got away with it, but it was the 90s, so I don't know.
It takes me back to when I was working in Oakland, California, just roughly 4 years ago, dude. I was dealing with a lot of juveniles. Yeah. From like 8, which was the youngest, to
it's crazy, man.
Right, 17, dude. And I would ask them, I'd be like, hey, dude, like, where are your parents? And they're like, dude, I don't know my dad. My mom's like, prostituting on the street.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
My mom was not prostituting.
No, not you.
She was just working 2 jobs to hold things down. I was being a little asshole.
No, dude, but I resonate.
But that's the reality. That is the reality of the world that we live in. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, we need direction as men. And likewise, dude, my dad, he left my mom at the age of 2. And my mom, she was working literally 18 hours a day as a housekeeper. And dude, I didn't know the direction I had in life. I had to figure it out. So, dude, let's dive into your story. So, how did you actually get into business yourself, man? Because with this podcast, a lot of people that like actually watch this, they're like beginner entrepreneurs. They're trying to figure it out, dude. And we got age range from like probably kids to our age right now. Like, what's the secret?
The secret. That's what everybody wants to know, right? Yeah. I got the secret for you. And people really do believe that there's a secret, and there isn't. And people are like, "Oh, come on, man! What's the thing? What's the one thing?" And there isn't just one thing. It's just having tenacity over and this never quit mindset over a very long period of time. And there's a lot of little things that you can do, right? That you can get coaching. We talked about that before we came on. You know, we both done that. You can have vision. You have to plan. You have to, and then the execution. But it's always about executing. And I think that's where people go, no, there's this formula that you're not sharing with us. And there really isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that you can do, but there's a lot of little things that you can do. But the reality is, if you want the secret, dude, it's just not quitting and just continuing to sometimes eat a shit sandwich for a long period of time before it's not a shit sandwich anymore. And so that's kind of the wave tops. But going back into entrepreneurship and my story, I served in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2012. I make jokes saying those were the fun years because it was like the most time we were in active combat, the entire time from September 11th to the time I got out. And I was a different person, Paul. Like I was just angry, tired. I mean, I was just one deployment after the next pretty much from the time I joined. And I was just worn out. I was a very different, angry person. And I made the decision after some things transpired with, some things the State Department said and things that I've been witnessing myself, and probably stuff that you probably saw in similar bureaucratic BS that you saw in law enforcement, and it's like, I don't think I'm going to do something else, And like I said, I was angry. So
How old were you?
When I got out, 31 maybe.
And then when did you start?
I joined when I was 18, turned 19 in recruit training.
19. And then when did you get into like special ops?
Pretty fast after. I did 3 years in the regular Marine Corps. I went to Turkey and Iraq first. And then when I came back, I took selection for 2nd Force Reconnaissance. At the time, was like the top command in the Marine Corps. A couple years after that, they stood up Marine Special Operations Command, took selection for that. And then spent the rest of my career there.
And how difficult would you say for somebody that's joining the military? Because we have a lot of people that actually they're like, hey, dude, I'm about to go to the Marines. After I come out of the Marines, I'm going to come and do business with you. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
So for everybody that's right now watching, they're about to join the military, how difficult is the process to go into special ops?
I'll give you an idea of this is how difficult it is. Now, granted, this is in my time, I'm an old dude now, but in my time, when I showed up to what now is basic reconnaissance school, and when I was in 2nd Force, I showed up. There was about 80-something people that showed up at the school on the first day. We graduated 14.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the attrition rate, and what people don't realize is that's not even the full attrition rate because there was a 3-month preparatory course to even go to the school. And that attrition rate was the same. Yeah. So then you go to that, and you just stack onto that. So it's majority of young men underestimate the physical attribute that they need to endure that level of training for that amount of time. That's one. Second, they underestimate the mental fortitude that they need to complete those courses. You have to be willing to, and this is going to sound really dramatic, but it's the truth. You have to be willing to go, okay, I'm either going to graduate or I'm going to die on this dang course. I'm going to push my body to where I'm just going to drop dead.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take. And I remember I was at Amphibious Reconnaissance School at Fort Story, Virginia. I failed a ruck run. And it was funny. I was talking to my former teammate and now business partner, Josh Hansberger, about this in the car yesterday. You've been doing this so for long. You've been up since 4. Who knows when you're going to go to bed. You got a long day ahead of you. You've been on this ruck run for X amount of time, and you're like, I'm gonna throttle back a little bit because I got a long day ahead of me.
Yeah,
that's a quit. You just took your foot off the gas. And I'll never forget in that course, you got I think you like a day. You had homework and stuff you had to do on the weekend, like write your patrol orders and all kinds of different SOPs that you have to do. But they let you go off base and like, grab a burger, do whatever you want to do for a few hours. And that was like coveted, man. Like those few hours off, away from the command was coveted. But if you failed that Friday ruck run, no liberty, no off base privileges for you. Oh. And I failed. And you only have so many failures. And I don't remember exactly what it was or what it is now, but you only get like a couple and then you're done. And I'll never forget, it was a mental choice to throttle off. And to me, looking at even that throttle back, kind of like we were talking about in business, right? Like you get comfortable. Yeah. You get like, oh, there's runway, or maybe I'm making money and everything's good, so I'm just going to throttle back a little bit and chill. That's when that's a quit. You just quit on yourself because you throttle back. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about setting things up, setting systems in place to where you can strategically plan and throttle back or not even say throttle back. It's like while you're doing something with your family, your team's throttling down. Right. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. I'm talking about you like in your own head, choosing to take the easier road because it's hard. Right. And anyways, so that was a thing that really stuck with me. And there's another story about when I had some physical injuries and I kind of tapped out. I went through this is a great story. This is a story of Nick's weakness. I like talking about those.
Let's hear it, dude.
Yeah. So back in 2000, had to have been 2001, the Marine Corps, you ever heard of the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program? Maybe they call it McMAP.
Dude,
no.
when my COO gets here, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be like,
he'll know.
Yeah.
So it was the infancy stages of the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. And I want to say I was like a Lance Corporal or something like Corporal or Lance Corporal, E3 or E4 in the Marine Corps, young, a couple years in the Marine Corps, if that. And I got this opportunity to go to this Green Belt instructor's course, which back then was like totally unregulated. It was like, it's not that difficult anymore, but it was 3 weeks of getting your ass beat. Like, I mean, you just got beat down. No rules, man. It was just 8 hours a day of PT and fighting, like Fight Club style fighting. Wow. And right towards the end of the 3 weeks, I had fractured a couple ribs. I tore my ear off, a portion of my ear off, and they sewed it back on. Black eyes, concussion. And I remember the night before, like, I'm like holding my ribs. Like, you ever fracture your ribs? Yeah. Like, there's nothing you can do, man. No, like, it sucks. Every time you take a breath, you're just like, you're losing your breath. You know what I mean? So I show up the next morning, and Paul, the next day is the final exercise, and it's graduation. It's a wrap after this. It's like a 2-hour FTX, and then it's graduation. So I show up, and I tell the guy who was the gunnery sergeant, the senior instructor of the course, I'm like, hey, Gunny, like, this is the situation. I just don't know if I can do the FTX.
So you're already quitting in your mind.
Yeah.
Before you're even going to the last
Before I even tried to do it.
Oh, dude.
He's like, because I'm like,
they made you pay for it, right?
No, he didn't. Yes, but not physically. Watch, this is the most brilliant thing he ever did. And usually he was a hard ass dude, and he wasn't hard. He goes, so I just told him, and I was like, people were telling me like, oh, dude, you got fractured ribs, you twist wrong, you go through your lung, blah 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 blah, all kinds of, not. Yes, that is true, but it's also a little bit of nonsense, right? But like the reality of what would have to transpire for that to happen is pretty drastic. You know what I mean? Anyways, so he goes, all right, Corporal K, like, you're good. Just follow along, and you'll sit this one out. You'll watch everybody do it, and then that'll be a wrap. So he goes back, and then I'm right there. I watched the whole FTX happen. I'm sitting on the sidelines watching it all happen. And then they graduate. He's like, I can't graduate because you didn't do the FTX. He goes, here's the thing, Corporal K. He goes, if you would have just, like, everybody knew you were broken, you were hurt. He's like, but if you would have just showed up and did your best, the team would have carried you and I would have graduated you because you did all the work up until this point.
Wow.
He said, but you let that get into your head.
Yeah.
He's like, and for that, I can't graduate you.
Wow.
So I did the whole thing. I was there just getting my ass beat the whole time.
Dude, that's
And
heartbreaking, man.
And but you know what? That was the deciding factor in my life to where I was like, I will never tap out ever again. The only other time and it wasn't really a tap out, it was like a throttle back, which I consider, kind of an internal quit. But even then I was like, I'll fucking die. I will die here before I quit. But that was one of the biggest lessons of my life, was him doing that.
And Nick, would you say that being in the military, going through these experiences, just that alone, dude, it showed you to be resilient. But do you think that contributed to your success in entrepreneurship?
I think it definitely played a factor, but it definitely wasn't, it wasn't, I don't want anyone to think that I got out of the military, started my first business, and it was like I knocked it out of the park and I didn't have failures and I didn't lose things. And that, as a matter of fact, the first, 5 years sucked. I mean, Paul, it sucked. It sucked.
And you got out of the military at 31.
Yeah.
And how long until you got into like full-time entrepreneurship?
So I got out. I got out in 2012. Immediately started working. I was contracting for intelligence operations company, kind of doing some of the similar stuff that I was doing in special operations, and still very rough around the edges. Like still really rough around the edges, and which cost me essentially the contract. So I rubbed some people the wrong way. On a Monday, I had 26 people in my office getting support. I was supporting 3 guys downrange on a secured network, all simultaneously. Got the call from my team lead saying, hey, they just canceled your contract. You're done. You can pack your shit and go home.
Wow.
And I was like, on a Monday afternoon, that was my first wake up to, oh, I can be fired?
Yeah.
Like, I'm done?
Yeah.
And so that's what happened, man. I got canned right out the gate. And ironically, this is the story. This is the story of if this would not have happened, I probably would not have started my own business. So I got canned on a Monday. On Tuesday, a teammate. So I had developed a team. They let me handpick a team to create this program that we were working on, that I created with my team. And
Nick, just real quick, for the listeners, somebody that does know nothing about the military, dude, like when you say program, what do you mean by that?
So I'm trying to, how do I word this the right way?
For civilians, basically.
Yeah. So it was a process. Mm-hmm. So we utilized a certain system, and we created a process and a program around that system of how to use it. Mm-hmm. And it became wildly successful. And it was something. It was basically a concept that I had done in special operations already. Mm-hmm. And so when I got contracted to do this for this company, I brought that expertise of real world intelligence and operations to that company, and then we created a formalized program around it, a system, a training program, and a execution program around that.
So essentially, you were like a consultant because you were special ops in the military.
Yeah.
You went to a private company. The private company was just like, "Hey, dude, we need your expertise because you're a badass in the military."
Yeah,
you set up the
process. And they knew because I had worked with them in the military, so they knew me.
Okay.
And then it was one of those things. And then I was like, I got out, and they're like, "We're gonna hire you."
So for private companies, does that happen a lot? Is it like a good old boys club?
Very much so. Well, you know how it is in business. It's
network.
It's networking.
Yeah.
So it's all who you know. And so, anyways, I got out, and I thought I was rich. My first year out of the Marine Corps, I made $165,000.
Dude, for somebody coming out of the military, that's badass.
I was like, I'm rich, bitch. But definitely not. But I felt that way.
Yeah.
And anyways, so I got canned on Monday. On Tuesday, one of my good friends who was on that team, called me and said, "Hey, dude, they just rolled out." He was in a meeting up in DC. He goes, "Hey, they just rolled out our program to the whole company nationwide or worldwide."
So they profited off of the process that you created,
Yeah.
dude. That
And then
sucks,
canned me because, I mean, and the reality is it's their IP, right? Because
Yeah.
I worked for them.
Yeah.
So anything I created under that company, it's their intellectual property.
Yeah. So they made you sign like a contract and all that.
Oh,
saying
yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah. It
dude,
was all-
anything that you produce under
That's
us.
normal. That's normal business for corporate. If you work something and you create a program, you do something for that company, you make SOPs, it's not yours, it's the company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And which was, whatever. At the end, it's what got me to where I'm at today.
Yeah.
But on that Tuesday, I got that call, and he's like, "Dude, they just rolled out our program to the entire company worldwide. Like, that's the standard now."
Wow.
And I was like, and I had a job offer with another company making more money almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned it down because it hit me that if I can do this for a company that's, valued in the billions, well, I can do it for myself.
Yeah.
If my work ethic, brain power, whatever it is, my expertise could do that for a company, then I should be able to do it for myself. And I started my first business. Now, I legitimately thought, and maybe some people have done this, but it wasn't me. I legitimately thought I was going to be like a millionaire within a year of starting my business.
Dude, I feel like social media makes that like
Social media wasn't even that big back then, though.
dude, I feel like social media like social media now portrays that.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, but it portrays that. That's why people are like, oh, they end up quitting like after a couple months. I'm like, bro, like you're not gonna be a millionaire.
You haven't
right
even
away.
gotten your first failure in a couple months.
Exactly. You gotta have a few failures in order
Yeah.
to build off of that.
Right.
And then go ahead
Right.
and do it, But no, I feel you on that, man. So what was your first business?
It was, I'm almost embarrassed to even talk about it. It was called STS, Survival and Tactical Systems. And this is where, so the number one thing, and I released a course on it. I have a 14 lesson course on this particular thing because I struggle with it. And it's the number one thing that people struggle with, and it keeps them from being successful, is their own limiting beliefs.
Facts, 100%.
Their own limiting beliefs. And their limiting beliefs come from childhood, it comes from your parents, it comes from your teachers, it comes from working environments, things that people have told you about yourself. And over a period of years and decades, they stack. And it is just it's just a soul crusher.
It's the force of average, man.
Yes. And kind of like what you're with your story, like your coworkers telling you you're going to lose all your money and
Yeah, dude.
and you're never going to make it. And it's a
freaking
scam.
sucked.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So I've believed that because of my background, that's all I really had to offer the world. Nothing I did, because you got to think, I joined, when I was 18 years old. Now I'm 31 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any difference.
Yeah.
The special operations is what I know, right?
That's all you knew your entire
Tactical
20s,
stuff.
dude.
Yeah, my whole thing, my whole 20s, everything I've done. So I didn't believe that I had anything else to offer. So if this is what I do, then I might as well start a training and consulting company. So that's what we did. And I had this, and I call it my first failure because I had this business plan. I mean, dude, I laugh at myself now because I worked for.
Let's go into the process, Nick. Like, okay, right now you're in your first business.
Yeah.
You're basically like, dude, I just made this company a ton of money with my processes.
Yeah.
Let me start a consulting company based on what I know for like more than a decade, right?
Yeah.
In the military. So, like, did you have a friend that like told you, hey, dude, you should be your own consultant? Was your girl? Was your wife? Like, how did you come up with that idea, man? Because I feel like a lot of people that watch this or are listening to this, they're probably in your spot back when you were like 31, dude.
Nobody gave me the idea. It was really that phone call from Darren telling me that they took what we did and rolled it out. And I was like, well, shit, if they are taking what I did and rolling out, then I can do it for myself.
So you were pissed.
That was it. Yeah, I was pissed.
Okay. All right.
That was it.
Yeah. Pain.
There's no big story other than that. It was just, It was I was watching them take something that I did, can me over it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that; it was also probably a little bit my attitude. But that's a little rough around the edges.
It happens.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm way calmer now. But in some ways, but it was really that took me down that road. It was just that. And I was like, well, if I can do it for them, why can't I do it for myself?
Yeah.
And then that's when I legitimately thought that I'd be a millionaire within a year because I was that confident. And
But you need that level of confidence in entrepreneurship.
you do,
Yeah.
courage and confidence and be able to do it. And then
100%.
Anyway, so I had this huge business plan, and you would laugh. I'd sit at my desk and I'd be building numbers and spreadsheets and all that. I mean, I had the most beautiful business plan of how it's going to make millions of dollars, and I was looking for. I mean, dude, I went all over the nation looking for investors. I mean, I talked to 511, this CEO of 511. I talked to
Wearing their shorts.
I talked to all kinds of people, and it just never came to fruition. And eventually, things started to, and this is what I'm going to tell. This is what I'll tell people. You're never going to have that first $1 million business until you start walking down the yellow brick road. If I wouldn't have started that first business, it wouldn't have led me to where I'm at today, sitting here talking to you with the 3 main businesses that I have now.
Yeah.
It never would have happened because every single business, every single failure led me to the next one. So things started to pivot. It was kind of strange. So while we were doing good work, we were making a little bit of money. The profit margin was nil. I mean, it was just like chasing your tail. You know what I mean? Just like we did one course, we did one training session, and it was like all the money was gone again.
Yeah.
So it's just painful. But through that networking of doing that job introduced me to people and showed me more opportunities. And it really, and I was, because of my background, I was not into the personal brand thing. It was all about we're stronger as a team than an individual. But as I networked and as people saw me doing what I was doing, they wanted me.
Yeah.
They wanted to work with me.
Yep.
They either privately or they wanted to do some sort of marketing endeavor. I've done guns, I've done flashlights, so they, and my background, right? They're here's a special operations raider. They, would you test out our gear and see if you'd endorse it and we'll pay you, et cetera. So that started to happen more and more. So the business started to pivot from training and consulting to marketing. And then I got picked up on a Discovery Channel show, and it just things started to kind of go down and I just followed the yellow brick road. I just kept doing the journey.
What year was this?
2015.
2015.
Yeah, so a couple years in.
Were you on social media at that time? Or?
Yeah, I finally got on social media. My wife now is the one who's our marketing director, and she was like,
nice.
So I had, and I met her actually on Instagram. It's hilarious, through the business account.
Really?
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude.
That's all I had.
That's cool.
That's all I had. You know what I mean?
That's a good story.
Yeah, and then she actually hired me and my team to come out and teach. She got a group of people together out in Kansas City, and she goes, "Hey, if I get enough people together, can I hire you guys to come out and do a course?" I'm like, "Well, here's the minimums. This is what it's going to cost." And she pulled that shit off.
Nice.
And she pulled, and now we just hit our 10-year and we've got a kid together and everything. It's beautiful.
Dude, that's a great story, bro.
Yeah, but she's the one who said, she goes, "So you need to do your own Instagram and your own social media, and we need to brand you and this and that." And I resisted, bro. I hated it.
Dude, you were like me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm still I feel
Same.
weird. Sometimes I still feel weird, dude. Just my marketing guys are like, "Hey, Paul, we need more pictures, selfies, dude."
Yeah.
You in the mirror, just cheesing. But it's just because people are buying you.
Yes.
And you hit it right on the target, dude.
Yeah.
People buy you.
Yep.
So you got on social media. When did you start building that up, dude?
It was within those 2 years of the business. That's when it started to happen, and it was almost within a year of starting it. It was okay, Nick needs to be his own thing also.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I was getting more traction on me than the business was.
Yep.
Which was driving the business.
Yeah.
But now I just know that. Now that's the play. The play is me.
Yeah.
I will drive the business.
Personal brand.
Personal brand will drive the business, and it does for all of my businesses. I am the marketing machine for all of my businesses. Like that by themselves, they don't stand by themselves. Well, a few do, but how do you funnel traffic to those businesses? Personal brand.
Yeah, 100%.
It's my voice, and I've learned that over the years, but a lot of that's been from my wife, kind of
pushing you.
Yeah.
So
making it happen.
So for right now, if you have, let's say, somebody from the military or law enforcement or just in general, entrepreneur that's trying to start in the humble beginnings of their social media branding, what would you recommend?
I would recommend do the limiting beliefs, my limiting beliefs course for sure. Like start there. And that's really because that's going to be your holdup, because you're not going to want to share videos of yourself. Like you have to get out of your own damn way. Like the reality is, like, you have a story to tell and people want to hear that story and they want to see you successful. They want to see, like, you're always going to have haters out there, but believe it or not, I do believe that people want to see you succeed. Yeah. And when they see, like, you're like with the story that I found, how I found you, like I was like, I immediately liked this guy immediately, because he did this thing. People told him he couldn't do this other thing. He fucking did it anyway. Yeah. And he was successful. And what did that do? That means he was able to provide a life for his family, his kids. He was able to provide a life for more employees in an environment that they like. And that's what we do at Johnny Slicks. That's what we do at Core Medical. That's what we do at the Agogi. That's my businesses. And going back to the law enforcement military guy, like, you have so much more value and worth than you believe. It took me probably the reason why I struggled those 4 to 5 years is I did not take like Paul, dude, do you know what the percentage of people that served in special operations, and not only just served as special operations, but a leader in special operations? Dude,
it's like with the one of
1%, right?
For sure, 100%.
And I didn't it took me 4 to 5 years to bring any of that experience to business. But as soon as it clicked in my brain that I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to just talk about guns and tactics and all this stuff. Like, all of this operational planning, what do businesses do? Operational planning, create visions, create objectives, build a plan to accomplish their objectives. Well, shit, I did that on a national, on a international level, with multiple people. You know, we had a 314-man surrogate force riding around in motorcycles in Afghanistan. We already did that. Yeah. So all I did was, when it clicked, I was like, holy shit, man, I can do this for business. Yeah. And that's when everything took off. Yeah. That's when I got out of my own way and I realized my value and my self-worth, and I removed my limiting beliefs. That's when my life exploded.
You dominated.
I dominated. Yeah. And not only that, I started helping other people dominate. I started taking my phase line approach to planning that I did in special operations and applying it to their own life and their own businesses. And then they started dominating. Yeah. It's not rocket science. Yeah. But we are just in our own way.
No, exactly. I always say it's you versus you, man.
It's you versus you.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, why allow other people that have less skills than you, less life experience than you, become multimillionaires, leverage what we have right now, which is social media, leverage personal brand. I think there's a lot of people out there, dude, that have like specialty skills and they just don't leverage it because they don't think that they're marketable. But like, dude, that aha moment that you had where you were like, dude, I was like the 1% of the 1% of the special ops. Right. Like, bro, like, if you would have started sooner, you'd probably be like in freaking Hollywood movies right now.
Exactly.
You know, and I always tell myself the same thing.
It's funny you say that.
Like, yeah. He's just like, I actually was, bro. Or I'm about to be, you know? Hey, who knows, right? Might be a special announcement right now. You know what I'm saying? But no, dude. So, all right, let's get into your 3 businesses. Yeah. So, which one came first and how did you come about it?
So the first one came about, let's go with the Agogi. The first one came about, I had owned my shit. I love sharing the fat photos of me. Yeah. And that was kind of like, and there's a story, there's a book on my website, or you can get it on Amazon, but I sign them on my website. called Excommunicated Warrior, The 7 Stages of Transition. That is the story of me leaving special operations and kind of my transition out of that and the struggles I had leaving the military.
And then where could they get that book?
NickKoumalatsos.com or Amazon.
Sweet.
Yeah. But if you figure out my website, then I'll sign it for you.
There you go, guys.
It's a great story, and really it's your story. It's the reader's story. And even though it's my story, every single person who's read it from every walk of life is like, dude, I felt like I was reading my own story. Because it's not about what's happening, it's about how you feel. It's about the levels of transition that you're going through and where your heart and mind is at the time. Yeah. And that's why it resonates with the reader. That's why it feels like their story. It's not about what's actually going on in the story. It's about the emotion and the heart pulling that's happening in their life at the time.
Yeah.
So that's that story. But dude, I was like, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was 240 pounds, 10% body fat. Like I was jacked. You know, I'm 205 now, but I'm also 42 and I like to do other things than I used to do. But I got to 240 pounds and almost 30% body fat.
Wow. Within
a couple of years of being out of the Marine Corps. And I took a look in the mirror and I was like, what has happened to you? And a lot of that's in that book. But at the end of it, I started to own my shit and got squared away. And when people saw that, they were like, how did you do that? Mm. And it wasn't just nutrition and fitness. It was so much more mindset and the limiting belief stuff that I had to overcome. Because I don't believe people have a fitness and nutrition problem. The problem is between their ears. Mm. Because if you got your mindset on point, well, nutrition and fitness is easy. Yeah. But people try this fitness and nutrition thing, but they don't handle the mindset part, and they constantly self-sabotage. They don't understand why they can't reach their goals. It's because you have an issue that you're not dealing with. There's something in your life. There's a traumatic event. There's something that you're holding on to that's keeping you from reaching your full potential. So when I went through that transition, we had me and my business partner started this little side program called Surviving the Cut. Mm. And it was just like, I think like a 90-day program that we were putting guys through. And it was like rudimentary. It was like Google Sheets and like, I think we had like a Facebook group, and that was it, man. It was just really rudimentary. But we had a little bit of success with it. And I was like, okay. And I talked to Josh, and I was like, dude, I think we're onto something here. Yeah. And that gave birth to the Agogi, which is our coaching group. And now it's a whole community. We have 2 apps that are, we have a fitness and nutrition app. We have a coaching app. It is a whole community of individuals just trying that are going to level up their life. We have multiple tiers. I do all the business coaching for guys that are entrepreneurs and want to do like my phase line approach to planning. I do all that through the Agogi as well. Those are my tier 1 clients. And then we have, I have multiple mentors and multiple coaches in the program. And it's been a beautiful thing to see grow. Yeah. To see fathers take ownership of their life back, and not fall prey to what the opposition wants, right? Those core values. And I just found out this morning that I was on Instagram. I can't be shown to non-followers anymore.
Emilio, didn't I just say that, bro? Dude, like he forgets that I used to be a former detective dude. Yeah. And like I observed it, I was like, hey, how come I can't find Nick on one of my other pages? And he's just like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know, maybe you guys got each other blocked. I was like, there's no way. So I'm like looking, dude, and I was like, hey, can you? And then he has the idea. He's just like, hey, dude, send me Nick's profile to the podcast page. Yeah. He sends it to me, and I'm like, dude, he's not blocked or anything. So then like I go ahead and I hit follow, and that's it, dude. So yeah. And I'm like, maybe he has like sort of political views or something like that. Instagram, dude. Like
so I went through to like a lot of my last, I just made a video right on the way down here. I made a little video. So I got that screenshot and I was like, what the heck, man? Because something was up. I knew something was up, but so I got that screenshot of them saying like, you can't be seen to non-followers anymore. Like, we're not going to share your shit to anybody.
That's crazy, dude.
And so I went to all my posts, and I was like, family, anniversary, fitness, health, training, jujitsu,
Yeah.
like faith, Jesus. But this is violating community guidelines.
It's wild.
Wholesome core values, like wanting what best for families and fathers and for wives and for children. That's violating community guidelines.
Yeah.
Wild of the world that we live in.
Dude, it's crazy. I think if you accumulate enough haters, they'll dispute or like they'll mark your profile if enough people go ahead and they actually tag your profile. So they'll get enough alerts where essentially it'll do that. Dude, I've gotten freaking what was it? Not embezzled, but I've gotten blackmailed, dude, like for like $15,000 the past year, where hackers from India, dude, they would message me and be like, hey, like me and my gang, we're gonna take down your profile and we know who you are and all this jazz. So pay us $5,000 or we're gonna take you down. And I'm like, fuck off. So then the next day they take down my shit and I'm like, all right, dude, where do I send the money? So I'll fucking send the money, dude, and I get it right back. But they're fucking doing this, bro. They've done it to a ton of other people that I know they're entrepreneurs. What is the proper term? Extort. Yeah, they extort money, dude, like the fucking mafia, like the online mafia. So, dude, the online game is fucking crazy now. Like, straight up, dude.
It's just wild.
Yeah,
it's just wild. And I was like, okay, what have I done? You know, I do share some political stuff, but so does
dude, everybody does.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Like, so why are you like you're gonna ban Fox News for sharing political stuff?
It's wild, bro.
Like, I share an opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and I share about my core values, and I want what's better for Americans and their lives.
Yeah.
And that goes against your community guidelines, so you're not going to show my shit. Anyways,
yeah.
So
wild,
I digress.
Yeah.
Anyways, we will win in the end. I don't really care because we're going to keep going.
Let's go. Let's go.
Block me, turn my shit off. It doesn't matter. I'll keep going.
Of course, dude.
You can't
keep
get
building.
rid of me.
Keep building.
Yeah, keep building.
Can't keep you down.
I actually fantasize sometimes about losing it all, just so I could show people how to do it all over again and faster.
Because once you know,
I
it doesn't
know.
leave you, dude. Like, you know the process.
That's
you
right.
know what you have to do, and you'll do it faster.
I'll do it faster. I've got the experience now.
Absolutely.
I know it works. So that's the Agogi. We're just transforming, people's lives into the lives that they want, and taking what I've learned and all those things that I failed at, what I sucked at, and utilizing those as lessons for them so that they can not make the same mistakes, or we can collapse time, right?
Yeah.
Like that. And that's really what it is. Like when we talk about coaching, it's how do we collapse time?
Yeah.
Something that's going to take them maybe 3-4 years on their own. Dude, how can we do that in 12 months? Like, let's collapse that in 12 months. Let me take all the failures and my network and my lessons that I have, and then impart that on you. So we just skip all the BS. Now you have to be ready for that, right? You have to be like, I'm an open book. Let's just get after it. But anyways, so that's the Agogi. And then it's kind of it's weird. It's all kind of happens simultaneously. Like my relationship with Core Medical and Johnny Slicks, like it all just kind of came to fruition, it's weird, but it's not, because I gave space for it to happen by removing those limiting beliefs, by taking care, like owning my shit, getting back in shape, by leaning into coaching for myself, and my own personal development. It's like all these opportunities that were waiting to happen. And I tell people, opportunities won't show up on your doorstep. You have to go walk the path. And just like walking that, I like to use the word walking the yellow brick road, because what happened when Dorothy started walking the yellow brick road? Who'd she come across? The Tin Man, the Lion, the people, the friends, the network. Like that's the whole thing, is the teacher will appear when the student's ready. Like, you have to walk the path. The teacher's out there, but he's not going to come knock on the door and be like, "Hey, you ready to learn?"
Yeah.
No, you got to go. You got to go walk the path, and you'll find them. You'll find the coach. You'll find the mentor. You'll find the teacher as you're moving forward. And I think that's what happened with all of my stuff, because it all happened simultaneously. So with Johnny Slicks, it's a beautiful, beautiful story. My business partner, John Rusheye, he got out of the Marine Corps. Crazy stuff. He was working at a gas station. He was working at a barbershop. And his hair was thinning. And he was like, I want to say he was like 21. He was like a young kid. Yeah. And he goes, you know what? And he started looking at the products he was using, and they were filled with chemicals. And he goes, well, if I remove these chemicals, maybe these chemicals are the problem. Because he was like, Google searching them and everything. He's like, what if I came up with an organic solution? So he worked for like a year trying to figure out what this organic solution was. And he was like burning shit and setting shit on fire in his house.
So he was like the chemist?
He was, we make a joke like he's like in a meth lab, like cooking stuff up.
Like Breaking Bad?
Yeah, Breaking Bad. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We actually have in the original lab, we have like a, what was his name? Mr. White, was that his name?
Yeah.
Walter White.
Walter White.
Yeah, we have like a little printout of him on the wall.
That's awesome.
Above the lab.
What year was this?
This was for him would have been 17.
Okay.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we started the company. Anyway, so because I was getting big on, personal brand and marketing, YouTube, et cetera.
Yeah.
And he tried to hit me up for 6 months, bro. For 6 months, he tried to hit me up about, and at this time, what I didn't share with this, I have 3 main businesses now, but at the time, like at one point, Ali and I had 7 businesses.
Wow.
All at the same time.
Holy shit.
Yeah, too much.
It's control chaos.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Go get niche and then go all in on that one thing. But it was, I had a team. I had, shipping and receiving. I had all, it was easy to like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I just stacked it on top. So I'd come in on Monday and my team would be like, I got an idea. My team would be like, oh, no, Nick. But we sold off a bunch, made money on them, shut a couple down, sold several. But anyway, so he hit me up and he's like, hey, can I bring some to you? Because he just wanted me to share it like an ambassador or something. And so he finally got a hold of me 6 months later. And I said, sure, man, drop it by the office. I'll check it out. So I show up. He had dropped it off. I messaged him on Instagram. I said, hey, man, I just saw your stuff. Are you still close? He's like, yeah, man, I'm like 5 minutes down the road. So they turned to you. He came back and we hung out for a little bit. And I asked about business questions like what's his infrastructure like? How are you taking orders? What, just random stuff, the stuff that you and I are interested in. And he had no answers for anything. He makes a joke now. He's like, he goes, Nick was asking me about infrastructure and I was a no for structure.
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, dude, because when I started just business in general, like I think in the beginning I got very vulnerable with going ahead and saying, well, I'm the CEO. This is my business, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that think they could do it all.
Yeah.
But then what I found out is that I don't know shit in the beginning, like everyone else. So I'm more of a visionary guy. Like
Yeah.
I'm a marketing guy.
Yeah.
And then I just hire smarter people than me to
Yeah.
go ahead and do the processes.
Yeah, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not how are you going to do it. Who's going to do it?
Exactly.
Great book.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so we started talking, and then I used the product for about a week, and I tell Ali, I'm like, this is $1 million product. Now, the branding was garbage, and I'm sorry, John, the branding was garbage, the infrastructure was garbage, but the product, what he had created, was genius. And I was like, this is a multi-million-dollar product.
Yeah.
And so I'm in Texas, and I shoot him a message, or I give him a phone call. I was like, hey man, I shoot him a message like, hey, love your stuff. When I get back from out of town, I'd like to sit down and talk to you about it. And he hits me back. He's like, Nick, I'm gonna be real with you. If we don't have this conversation right now, I'm not gonna sleep for a week. Because he was like, there's no way that I'm just going to like, cool, that's a cool text message, and then just go chill for a week and wait till you get home. So I just laughed. I said, let's jump on the phone. And I told him on the phone, I said, hey man, I think you really got something here. I think you got $1 million product.
Yeah.
I think you have $1 million product. And I want to partner with you. I want to build this. I want to make this an actual business. And I said, I don't want an answer. Think about it. We'll sit down and we'll sit down and then we'll go from there. And we sat down in a Chipotle with him and his wife Rebecca, who were like so young, and didn't hardly even know him. And I think I asked him, I was like, you guys have drug problems?
How old was you at the time?
Shit, man, 20. I think they were 24 and 23.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
yeah, that's young.
And unbeknownst to me, he had just had his car repoed.
Wow.
So like they were selling plasma to like try to buy materials for it. So like on a weekly basis, they were selling plasma to get money to buy materials for the business.
Wow.
And then he has car repoed. like 2 months before we started Johnny Slicks. So we officially started in 2018, and I launched it on YouTube. Ali built the website. We rebranded everything. I told him to make as much. I was like, how much can you make? I was like, how much do you have? He's like, I got 20 jars of pomade. He thought that was a lot.
20 jars of pomade.
20 jars. And like some beard oil and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're going to need to make more. So we both invested money. We started the business with $400. And his biggest sale of a month was like $300 and something.
Yeah.
Which he didn't even make profit because of the way he ran his business. Like he made 348 and it probably cost him like 375 to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we redid all that, of course. And within the first hour, we made more in the first hour of launching than he had ever made in a month. First year we did 6 figures.
Yeah.
And this year we became an 8-figure company.
Dude, I love that.
Within 7 years.
Bro, and congrats,
Yeah.
because that alone just shows you perseverance, discipline, visionary,
Right.
and just somebody that knows a process, like a facilitator.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, dude. So when you guys did the launch, how did you guys set up something like that, man? Because you said $400. You talked to your business partner at that time, dude, who was essentially broke.
Yeah.
No disrespect to,
Yep.
to your business partner, but he didn't have any money. And there's a lot of people in the same situation right now, man. So, like, how did you guys come up with like the plan to actually launch that product?
So that's where I kind of came into play with my expertise and like kind of everything we've talked about in special operations and everything we've done, right?
Yeah.
That's where I came in as I guess you could say the integrator for that business, and really just integrated everything and made it a business. Let him focus on the juice, right? And let me focus on the customer and building what the foundation of what that business has become. And what's beautiful about it now is, and the things that, and it's always been this way, but we've like hammered down on the message now that we're all American made, we're all American manufactured with organic goods.
I love that.
So all of our products are 100% organic. Okay, I mean 100%, not like all natural. Asbestos is natural, you know?
Yeah.
But like products that aren't going to cause you discomfort, pain. I mean, the reality is some of our competition sells the disease. I mean, you can Google this. They're selling you a product that causes a type of skin cancer. And if you look at that same company, 40% of their profits for the year come from chemo treating that cancer that their product causes.
That's wild, dude. That's wild.
It's legit.
But I mean, that's how these large pharmaceutical companies are making billions of dollars.
They're selling you
They have to create the market.
They're selling you the disease and the cure.
Wow.
So and a lot of it's overseas, and it's, you know, it's all garbage stuff. So we're just like, nope. We've been told to outsource manufacturing. We've told to outsource customer service. We've been told to outsource fulfillment, and basically just be a marketing company.
Yeah.
But how does that benefit? We have 417 vendors or suppliers that are all American owned, that all have. So not only do we hire people and give them, and our starting salary, our starting hourly wage is above the national average.
Yeah.
So like in North Carolina, I think it's $7.25 or 7 something an hour is minimum wage. So the beginning employee starts at $17.50
Wow.
an hour. If you're a low level employee, you're starting at $17.50.
That's amazing, dude.
And because I'm not going to skimp on cutting corners or cutting margins so that we can make an extra dollar and then send our money to China or India or Pakistan or whoever, you know, wherever. Like, I want our dollars to stay here. So when you buy Johnny Slicks, you're supporting Americans. You're supporting the people that work in this business, and you're supporting the 417 other companies that we get our materials from that are also all American made. Because you got to think every single one of those companies have however many employees, that have however many families and people they're taking care of. So this is like, you know, not to get political, but this is the reason why, like, when Trump talks about American-made businesses and what he's going to do and the tax breaks and everything, that is that is huge for America, and it's
Huge.
huge for us, because what that would do that would add so much more to the company to be able to pay more be able to scale our business,
Yeah.
hire more employees. I mean, we've got whole families working for us. We got wives, husbands, and sons in our company, like multiple. It's wild, but that's what it's about. So when we talk about Johnny Slicks and we talk about body wash and shampoo and conditioner and the 40-something SKUs that we have, it's really not about soap.
Yeah.
It's really not about soap. It's about America, American manufacturing, and keeping our dollars here in the United States.
Supporting America.
Supporting America.
I love that.
Like that's what Johnny Slicks is really, really about.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to be able to have a company that can do that.
Hell
Like obviously we want you to use Johnny Slicks because it's good products and it's healthier for you. And if you love your family, your kids, don't put bullshit on them. You know what I mean?
But the meaning and the value, dude.
But
behind
that's what the opportunity to be able to serve people like that with a business is just rad.
Yeah.
So that's Johnny Slicks.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy some supplies after this, man. It's awesome. I love that. So
Careful.
yeah.
One warning with Johnny Slicks is when a man wears Johnny Slicks, women smell it. Am I wrong, Brandon?
There you go.
And we've had several babies created from men wearing Johnny Slicks. I think we're over like 15 now.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Gotta try it for myself, bro.
But then, so
Let's see what the wife says.
The last one is, and this kind of came out of my book as well, Leaving Special Operations, is Core Medical, which is actually, it's one of the reasons why I'm down here is our partners, Sydney Gordon is the CEO and one of the owners of Core Medical Group. I started working with them 6 years ago, and it's really out of my own education of leaving. One of the reasons why I kind of struggled was, dude, I got out and through multiple TBIs, et cetera, what we call now is type 2 hypergonadism. I had a testosterone level of 91.
Oh wow.
So no wonder my drive was down.
Yeah.
No wonder why I couldn't sleep, depressed, anxious. My hormones were whacked.
Yeah.
91 for a man is, like there are women that have higher testosterone than a 91, and I'm 31 with a 91.
Yeah.
Anyways, so through that, I met Core Medical Group, started working with them, and then became a managing partner to be able to provide kind of the same operational experience as well as the marketing efforts to help veterans and men in general get with a nationwide clinic that's not a cookie cutter TRT mill that's going to look at your blood work and look at your symptoms and treat you like a human being. Core Medical is one of the only national TRT clinics that can do telemedicine that still maintains a human-to-human relationship. Wow. So there's a lot of companies out there. You fill out a form online and you have you pick your finger, which if you're pricking your finger for blood, that's the first red flag.
Yeah.
Because when you go give blood for Core, they get 6 vials.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a 28-panel blood test. Like you're going to know everything under the sun. And then you have a human being relationship with your doctor and your patient coordinator. And we're one of it's probably the top 3 at this point, the top 3 clinics in the nation. So like to be able to, and that's really, I got to give credit where credit due. That's Sydney Gordon's vision for that, because he just absolutely hated this like form fill, process where you can't talk to anyone. So you have a symptom, you're having a problem, maybe you're having, an issue with, erectile dysfunction or sleep or recovery or brain, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you're dealing with, and you can't talk to someone.
Yeah.
Like that's garbage. That's garbage care, So being able to actually like do that, but at scale is impressive.
No, it comes back to, old school values and just customer service, dude.
That's it.
I think that's what makes a couple of my companies a little bit different. We're very old school. We'll pick up the phone, dude.
Yeah,
we're not
right.
texting. I hate texting.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in that. Question. Do you think becoming a managing partner with your last business, did building a personal brand contribute to that, dude? Like,
Yes.
do you think that way, like, it just gave you an easier access to network with like high level individuals?
Absolutely, because they see what you're doing, they see what you bring to the table. It's your resume.
Yeah.
Like it is. It is my resume. And one of these days when they're all said and done, if I want to do something, if I want to teach somebody something, if I want to do something, I have a customer base. With no business,
Yeah.
I have a customer base.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is. If I get passionate about something, and and listen, there's always chapters to everything.
Of course.
I won't be with Johnny Slicks forever. Probably will be with the Agogi forever, not forever, but for a very long time. But when the other ones go away, right? When they either get sold or bought, or who knows what will happen, down the road. Nick will always be my mission in life is to inspire, educate, and motivate others to live a healthier and successful life. I'm at this point in my life, I am here to just help humanity.
I love that.
So my personal brand will help drive that for the years to come. And I'm never going to stop working. This idea of retirement, that was a boomer thing. Like, it's not real.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Like, I'm going to work until
Never gonna
forever.
retire.
Now, granted, what that looks like will be different. I might work a few hours a day here and there and then be, kiteboarding in Greece or something. You know what I mean?
Why not, right?
Whatever. But nonetheless, like, my work and my value to humanity is ongoing, and having a personal brand is the only thing that's going to facilitate that over a long period of time.
Right now, with you focusing a lot on your personal brand, as you should, right? Being an entrepreneur in 2024, going into 2025, dude, I can't believe this year is already over. It's freaking crazy, bro. I can't believe the elections is about to happen in the next couple weeks. Everybody's like, fear. It's just like, dude, like, focus on what you gotta build right now.
We're gonna do the same thing regardless.
Exactly, regardless, right? At the end of the day, you stay on task for the mission, dude.
Yep.
So with that being said, dude, what upcoming things do you have going on, dude?
We are working on. So the big thing right now is Johnny Slicks going into retail.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Scarily awesome, huge deal.
Huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity, but
Good for you,
But
dude.
so going back to that, when I hit that, like you said, like foot off the gas, you got complacent.
Yeah.
That year, like 3 years ago, and I saw the annual revenue and the growth of the company. When I jumped back on board and was like, I talked to my partner. Everybody was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. This is all my fault. I'm the one that drives the train." And then I was like, "But strap on, because we're gonna make up for it," and we have. But by doing that year after year and doubling our business year after year is what drove us to have the opportunity now to go into retail. And that's just gonna open up a whole. I mean, that's really where we're gonna get a piece of the market share.
Yeah.
And become dangerous.
Good.
Yeah. So that's the big thing coming up. And then of course always my events, Agogi Live, my Entrepreneur Accelerators, Squire program. These are things that I'm massively passionate about that are ongoing always.
Nick, and one question that I wanted to ask you, man, in the very beginning where you were telling the story between you and your partner with Johnny Slicks, what do you think is a determining factor to actually have somebody join you as a business partner, or to even have a business partner, dude? Because I've, me myself, dude, like, I've ran a few businesses here and there, and I've had it where it worked out well with business partners.
Same.
And then others where it was just a complete
disaster,
shit show.
Disaster,
right?
Yeah.
So what would be
that robs you from like your peace and sanity in your life,
dude?
Yes.
Like, you don't even understand, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much gray hair because of that. So what would be your guidelines, dude, for a beginner right now that's just like, dude, should I partner up with family members? Should I partner up with like my friend? Like,
so it's, Paul, it's hard because these are some of the stipulations that I talked to, and I've one, what do they bring to the table? Can you do it by yourself? And I don't mean do it by yourself as in like do it by yourself. I mean, can you find the right team of people to be the who's, you know what I mean, for you that you don't bring to the table?
yeah.
Okay. So, and a lot of times I coach people on doing that. Like, why don't you just do you?
Yeah.
All right. Do you? Now, great partners can make the world go round. Like Johnny Slicks wouldn't be what it is if we didn't have the team that we had, right? We didn't have the ownership that we had. Core Medical would not be what it is and be able to serve as many patients as it does if we didn't have the partnerships in place that we do.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality. Your network is your net worth. Now, with that said, what is that individual's core values? Those are your rules of engagement. So coming back from a military background, right? My core value, because we had ROEs in the military. You had probably something similar in law enforcement, right? Those rules of engagement were our go and no-go criteria. Well, in the regular world, those are core values. Your core values are how you analyze people. Are they above the bar on that core value, or are they below the bar on that core value? If they're below the bar, it's a no-go.
Yeah.
So I would analyze their core values and make sure they match. And then the second thing is, what is the goal on the board? What is the vision on the board? Do those align? Because a lot of times what happens is you can have the same core values, but one person sees the vision, the goal, something different than you see it. And at that point, you're always going to have these polarizing pulls because they're trying to take the company in two different directions. So with our businesses that we have right now, all of my business partners, and I have partners on every single business. Every single business I have partners. But all of us go, what is on the board? Does that align? Okay, let's move forward. Because it doesn't really matter. I might have an idea for something. Does it get us closer to the goal? Yes or no? If it's a no, it's a no-go. So there's no emotion or ego involved. It's just simply, does this thing get us closer to the goal that we agreed on? And if it does, cool. If it doesn't, it's a bad idea. We're not doing it, period. Because that's what we agreed on. We agreed on that goal on that board.
Dude, I love that, because the simplicity of just having core values, knowing your mission, and then if you guys are thinking of doing something that doesn't move the needle towards that goal, you don't do it.
You don't do it.
And that's good, man, because I know in business, I've met people that sometimes they come off prideful, and they're just like, nah, dude, I want to do it my way, right? Especially, when you have two guys coming from a background, either law enforcement or military, and it's hard, dude.
Ego and pride will ruin it every day.
Well, there's one thing that I always say to all my guys. You could be prideful or you could be rich, right? It's true, dude, in business, even when the customers sometimes, they're not happy, but you got them great results or whatever, right? Your product is great. It's great. And they're like, oh, dude, I'm just not happy, right? Dude, they might be going through something in life, and what can you do? We're all human, right?
Yep.
So I was just like, all right, cool. I always stay neutral, But Nick, dude, I love the stories. Love the company. I love that you're really bringing America into this, dude. I'm all about that, man. So last question, my friend. If you could talk back to your old self when you were 31, dude, and you just got kicked from that private company, and what would you tell yourself then? Now that you know all this great stuff, dude, that you basically have the roadmap to success, what would you tell yourself back then and how to get to success faster?
I would first, I'd give him a big hug and tell him it's going to get real rough, but it's all going to be okay. And that I love him, and you're going to be just fine. Now, after that, I would say hardcore lean into personal development. Just get out of your own way and lean into personal development sooner rather than later. The sooner you do that, and the sooner that you take a hard look. First things first, read Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil. Take a hard look in the mirror. See how you're being controlled. See what you're living for, what your core values are. And then get some, just like you have to go on the growth train. Physically, mentally, spiritually, you have to do it. The faster you grow, the faster everything else grows around you. And that's like you said, like if I would have done that, I'd be double where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But it was that resistance of that first 4 or 5 years, So if that would be the one thing, personal development and get coaching early.
Dude, that's
out the gate.
That's great advice. Did you have mentors in the military?
Not really.
No.
I had some really great, in certain times, in certain chapters of my life, I had some really great leaders that I still consider great leaders now. And I'm still close with, but that was a different world, man. We were fighting a war. We were fighting multiple wars.
Yeah.
So the focus was just train, fight, train, fight, train, fight, train, fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about anything else.
No,
It was a different life.
no, absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
And you transformed your life, man.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
I'm a
crazy.
different person.
Yeah.
I make it a light of it, but I make a joke all the time that if I'd meet myself, 12 years ago, we wouldn't be friends.
Really?
Nah. I'd be like, you need to get your shit together.
I love that, dude. I think I told myself that at the age of 29, about to be 37.
Yeah.
And at 29, I was just like, bro, quit being a little bitch.
Quit
And
being
just
a little
fucking
bitch.
do it.
Yeah.
Like I sat there on like my 15th hour of work, dude, in the office with papers stacked up to my freaking head. And I'm like, am I going to do this for another 35 years? My relationship's already fucked up at that time before I met my wife. Dude, I was seeing my parents less. They all had medical issues. Dude, I was depressed as fuck. I was in a dark hole. No one knew. So I had to climb out.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out. And that's just all it is. But I resonate with a lot of the things that you said, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nick, where can they find you, bro?
Good luck. Instagram. I need everybody go find me on Instagram real quick. No, I'm on all the social media channels, and then all my activations and everything that I work with are all on my website at nickkoumalatsos.com. Hopefully I can spell it.
Love it.
Yeah, find me on YouTube as well. I got a YouTube show that's up there as well. I'll get you on there. We'll talk about your story.
Yeah, dude.
And yeah, that's it.
Love it. Love it. And guys, there you have it. Nick's powerful story of how he was able to go from the military to a successful entrepreneur with 3 businesses that's changing the world and bringing America back. That's what I'm talking about. So with that being said, guys, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share this with somebody you care about, guys. And as always, let's level up.